Imagine this. You pick up your daily newspaper, flip past the headlines and local news, and stumble upon a story that chills you to the bone. Not a news report, but a tale so terrifyingly real, it feels like it could be. This was the experience for readers of the Philadelphia Dollar newspaper back in 1844 when they first encountered Edgar Allan Poe as masterpiece of horror, The Premature Burial. In the 19th century, newspapers were a wild mix of fact, fiction, and everything in between. You'd find real news right next to sensationalized stories and fictional tales. Poe, a master of his craft, knew exactly how to use this format to his advantage. He didn't just write a scary story. He tapped into one of the most profound and widespread fears of his time, being buried alive. The story's narrator isn't just afraid of this fate. He's obsessed with it, and for good reason. He suffers from a condition called catalepsy, a real medical disorder that causes sudden death, like trances. Imagine falling into a state where your body becomes completely rigid. Your breathing and heartbeat slow to an almost undetectable level. To an outside observer, you would look, for all intents and purposes, dead. This blurring of the line between life and death is the terrifying heart of the story. Our narrator's fear isn't just a personal phobia. He spends his time poring over real and supposed historical accounts of premature burials. Poe cleverly weaves these into the narrative, recounting stories of people who woke up trapped in coffins, their screams muffled by the earth. These weren't just products of Poe's imagination. They were the kind of morbid, sensational stories that frequently appeared in 19th century newspapers and medical journals. People were genuinely terrified of this. Coffins were designed with bells, breathing tubes, and escape hatches. The fear was so palpable that it became a cultural phenomenon. By grounding his story in these very real anxieties and reported incidents, Poe made his fiction feel disturbingly plausible. Readers who found this story in their daily paper might have just read a similar, supposedly true account the week before. This masterstroke blurs the line between story and reality, making the horror feel immediate and personal. The true genius of The Premature Burial is its psychological depth. It's not about ghosts or monsters in the traditional sense. The monster is a medical condition, the fallibility of human perception, and the ultimate claustrophobic nightmare of being trapped within your own unmoving body. Poe's writing forces you into the narrator's mind, making you feel his escalating panic. He describes the suffocating darkness, the crushing weight of the soil, the terrifying realization that you are conscious in your own tomb. The narrator goes to extreme lengths to avoid this fate. He redesigns his family vault to be easily opened from the inside. He makes his friends promise they won't bury him too quickly. He refuses to travel far from home, terrified of falling into a cataleptic state among strangers who might not know of his condition. His entire life becomes a prison built by his own fear. The climax of the story is a masterclass in tension. The narrator awakens in complete and utter darkness. He's lying on his back on something hard and narrow. He can't move his arms or legs. The air is thick with the smell of damp earth. He feels a wooden enclosure all around him. It's his worst nightmare come true. He has been buried alive. He screams, a desperate, hopeless shriek from the depths of his soul. But then, something unexpected happens. His scream is answered. A gruff voice shouts back. A light appears. The sides of his coffin are shaken. The truth is revealed. He isn't in a grave at all. He had fallen asleep in the narrow berth of a small boat, and the smell of earth was from a pile of garden soil nearby. The jolting was the boat's crew trying to wake him. This shocking, almost anticlimactic resolution is brilliant. The terror was all in his mind. The intense psychological trauma of this false alarm acts as a form of shock therapy. He realizes that the fear itself was a far worse prison than any coffin. The narrator is cured not of his catalepsy, but of his overwhelming terror. He understands that some fates are beyond our control, and that living in constant fear is no life at all. He concludes that the terrors of the mind are often far more horrifying than any real-world danger. The Premature Burial is more than just a scary story. It's a profound exploration of the human psyche, our relationship with death, and the power of fear to control our lives. Poe shows us that sometimes The most terrifying haunted houses are the ones we build inside our own heads. By publishing this in a newspaper, he turned a private reading experience into a shared cultural moment, reminding everyone who read it that the boundary between a peaceful rest and an unimaginable nightmare could be terrifyingly thin. It's a story that stays with you, making you question the very nature of consciousness and the finality of death. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the mind of Edgar Allan Poe. If you enjoyed this deep dive into classic horror, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the dark side of literature. Let me know in the comments what other classic horror stories you'd like to see explored. Until next time, try not to think too much about it when you turn out the lights.